Hi Victory Heights, I'm Miss Charlotte, Head of Mathematics, and I'm also a Year 4 class teacher.
And I'm Miss Amber, Deputy Head of Maths, and I'm also a Year 2 class teacher. And we hope you really enjoy our session today and find the information useful. So in the session, we're going to look at the White Roads maths scheme and why we follow that at Victory Heights. We're going to look at the CPA approaches, our calculation policies at school, and some tips and tricks onto how you can help your child at home with maths.
As a school, we choose the White Rose scheme to build a whole new culture of deep understanding, confidence and competence in maths, a culture that produces strong, secure learning and real progress. No matter what the child's starting points are, the programme, along with our teachers at Victory Heights, help learners everywhere to achieve excellence in mathematics. These are the essentials of a mathematics lesson at Victory Heights. First, we start off with fluency. This is learning through varied and frequent practice with increasingly complex concepts. Reasoning. In this section of the lesson, we develop an argument providing methods using mathematical language and pictures. And then finally, we move on to the problem-solving section. This is where we're applying our mathematics to a range of problems with increasing sophistication. Here is the breakdown of a mathematics lesson at Victory Heights. We start with the flashback 4, then we move on to the baseline. The teachers we write in our whole class mark book. We direct an input at the front of the class with all the children on our new concept and our new learning, and then the children move through Fluency 1 and 2 questions and move on to problem solving and mastery elements.
The beginning of a maths lesson in Key Stage 1 and Key Stage 2 starts with a flashback 4. This is where we revisit previously learned skills to spiral our knowledge. Consistent revisiting of topics allow for the information to be processed into our long-term memory. Some of the best lessons start with a problem. This structure helps the teacher to identify misconceptions, ask questions, and highlight the importance of exploring different methods to build conceptual understanding. Pupils are drawn in and teaching occurs from there. In this part of the lesson, dialogue and discussion between pupils is highly encouraged to promote reasoning, explanation and justification. Mathematical reasoning is important as it helps to develop critical thinking and understanding of maths in a more meaningful way. The concepts of reasoning not only helps the students to have a deeper understanding of the subject, but also helps in a wider perspective to logical statements. Children are encouraged to use sentence stems across Key Stage 1 and Key Stage 2 to develop their oracy skills.
In Victory Heights, we follow the CPA approach. This is the concrete, pictorial and abstract approach, which is what White Rose follows. The first part is the concrete part. This is the doing stage. This is where we use a physical, hands-on approach in maths, which ultimately brings our problem to life. All concepts in school should be first introduced using physical materials. For example, counters, deans, base 10, numicon, or 2D or 3D shapes. After the concrete stage, we move on to the pictorial. This is also known as the seeing stage. This is where we use visual representations to encourage children to make mental connections from the concrete model that has been previously explored. For example, this is where we introduce things like bar models, drawing equal groups, part-whole models, or tens and ones representations. Then finally, we moved on to the abstract part, or the symbolic stage. This is where we use operations and symbols and numbers to represent. Children should not progress to the stage until they are clearly secure in the concrete and pictorial parts of the CPA model.
Here is an example of the CPA approach in Key Stage 1. As you can see, the children move from the doing stage in the concrete, where they're sharing out counters equally, to the showing stage, which is the pictorial. The children are able to draw pictures to show their understanding using a bar model and 2 equal groups. And then finally to move on to the abstract, to put that in a number sentence using the numbers and inverse of multiplication and then division.
And here is the progression of the CPA model from a lower Key Stage 2 lesson. Here you can see the problem is about 23 children, and how many children are there altogether in 3 classrooms. So in the concrete stage, the child here has used the base 10 to show the doing stage. Then in the pictorial, the child has used the Braining Camp app to also represent the 23 times 3. And then when we move on to the abstract, you can see that the child is now using symbols and also looking at the inverse to prove their calculation is correct. If you want to have a go at trying out the CPA method at home, have a go at this question. 5 people have 8 grapes each. How many grapes do they have altogether? Looking at the resources you have in the top right-hand corner, which concrete elements would you use to help you solve this problem? Then moving on to pictorial, how would you represent this problem? What would you draw? Then moving on to abstract, what would you write? What would your number sentence be? And is there anything you could do to prove you're working out to show that it is correct? In Victory Heights, in our maths lessons, we often use a website called Braining Camp. This is a pictorial website which supports us in our learning in class. I will attach the login to the end of this video so you can use it at home, especially to support with homework. Children here have a range of manipulatives, as you can see on the screen, and when there is a problem in class, they can select which manipulative they would like to use. This can really help the child picture the problem to help them work it out. So moving through the concrete to then pictorial to be able to support them with writing it in abstract. Here is an example of how our pictorial methods can help us visualize a problem in order to then move on to the abstract to using symbols to solve a problem correctly. So here's how to get onto Braining Camp at home if your child requires the support for any homework. If you type in my email address, cbrookson@vhprimary.com, and the password is VH123456. Save the password and even bookmark the tab to make it even easier for next time. Here are the manipulatives that we discussed previously. On each of the manipulatives, you can click on them and you can show all sorts of different things and help to work out different problems at home. For example, here, if I have my towers of 10, I can find out how many hundreds I have here. So here I have 100 and 10. I can easily show my child that 100 is made up of 10 tens here. Really good way to make learning super visual for children. There are lots of other manipulatives, for example, this fraction tile. This is a really great manipulative and it's really visual. So here I can show a child that 1/2 is equivalent to 2/4, or is also equivalent to 3/6. I could also show, for example, 1/2 is equivalent to 3/3, and that 1/4 is bigger than 1/5, but 1/2 is bigger than 1/4. If you go down the right-hand side to workspace, there are also lots of different other ways that we can look at the manipulatives. Another great one is the clock to work on time. Here we can play about with the clock, look at the different times. We can also work out different word problems. If I got home at 6 o'clock and my dinner was going to be ready in 30 minutes time, I can have a look and work out what time it is going to be ready at. Again, if you click on workspace, there are lots of other different things you can use. Allow your child to explore the manipulatives here. It can also be really beneficial to support and help with homework.
In Victory Heights, we use current and up-to-date ways to efficiently work out mathematical problems. Although we may have learned other methods when we were younger, it is important to follow our guidance if you wish to support your child at home, as this will mirror our approach in school lessons, and it will help to avoid any confusion. These policies can be found on the school website or on the parent portal. If you are ever stuck with a method or need it explained further, then please don't hesitate to contact your child's teacher for support with this. We are all more than happy to help whenever we can.
If you wish to support your child at home with extra learning or with their homework, it's really important to have a read through the calculation policy, just to make sure that you are teaching the same methods as we do it in school. As you can see here from a Year 4 part of the calculation policy, you can see the way in which we set out adding with regrouping. You can also see how we would show this problem in a bar model as well.
Finally, here are some tips and tricks of how you can help your child at home with maths. Let's look at time first. So, to encourage your child to wear their own watch, to encourage them to tell the time. When moving on to another activity in the day, mention what time it is and show your child what this looks like. And when children ask how long it is until the next activity that they're going to be doing, encourage them to tell you what time it is now and try and work out how many hours or minutes it is until the next event.
Some more tips and tricks. Here's one about money. What about your family trips to the supermarket? You can easily encourage dialogue and reading out loud the price of different items. You could discuss how much things cost. Are they more or are they less? How much will these two items be if we buy both of them? Or you could look at how much change would you get from different amounts of dirham notes.
Another tip you can try with your family at home is discussing shapes whilst out in Dubai. Can you encourage any dialogue about the different shapes that they see every day on buildings, and asking how do you know and can you explain that to me questions too.
And the final tip is having a look on the White Rose website. They have really excellent support videos for parents at home, for children's learning in school and to support with homework. You can easily click onto the overviews and select the year group that your child is in and have a look at some videos to help with different methods to see how your child will be doing their work in school. Thank you so much for listening. We really hope that you enjoyed the session and found it informative. And again, to reiterate, if you would ever like any help with any of your child's homework or knowledge or what they need to know for their maths lessons, please don't hesitate to contact your child's class teacher, as we are more than happy to help. Thank you.